Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 839. Now, in this episode, we're talking about, does reality mirror your mind? What do I mean by that? Is reality just sending back to us a mirror of how we perceive it to be true? I mean, is that woo la la? Is it weird and wonderful? Are we deeply interconnected because we're a sea of energy, because everything is energy, and therefore what you put out, you get back? Or is it that or something else? Maybe it's the way that the brain is geared, the wiring of the brain. But whatever it is, and I always bounce between both and kind of group them as one. I think they feed upon one another. They work well together as a model, in my opinion. But whether you have one way or the other, it's important to know. It's important to know because if you are receiving back reality which is of your liking, well, wouldn't it be better to get more of that? And on top of that, if you are receiving reality back, what is shining back at you, something that you dislike, well, wouldn't it be of value to be able to discover why that is happening and how you can start to make that change? That's what I think is going to be very, very powerful, because our perception is our projection. So whatever you perceive to be true, you project into your world. You're radiating it out. You're perceiving it. Like if I perceive that I am not enough, well, I'm going to project it into my environment. It's going to be how I show up. It's going to be how I communicate. And in turn, guess what happens? If we go down the reality or the biology of that, rather than the wonderful, weird and wonderful stuff, if you are showing up in your communication, in your physiology, in the things that you do, in the things that you are, in your job, in your career, in your finances, then people respond to that. Your environment bends and responds to what you're thinking most of the time. Whatever you're feeling most of the time, you're putting it out there. So therefore, that is what you see, whether you like it or not. You see, the unconscious mind, which does all of this, you don't consciously want to go, I'm consciously deciding to believe I'm not enough, or that all relationships are bad, or money is the root of all evil. I don't think you'd consciously want that to be the case. I don't think you consciously try to create such a thing. And if you're not consciously doing it, well, it just must mean it's your subconscious or your, we could say the unconscious, one of the same thing in my opinion. I know people will differ there, but I'm just going to use one or the other, mainly unconscious, because that's what I usually use, is running the projection in your mind, the theater in your mind. You see, as you're taking all that information in, you are only taking in and on and bending your reality based on your perception of it. Whether that is kind of your reality filter, it'll come back to me, but the person who coined that phrase, and it was even featured in the movie in Steve Jobs, but it will come back to me. I can see the book in my mind, that you have your own reality filter, and that reality filter just causes you to see the world in a certain way based on those filters, because it's not just one filter, because it could be your beliefs, it could be your values, it could be because of the past decisions you've made unconsciously, it could be about the your personality type, it could be many, many things, the memories and the experiences in your past, which bends the objective reality into a subjective perception. So whatever you perceive to be true, as I said, you project out there in the world. Think of it like like a movie projection almost, right? You are projecting this source of light onto a wall in front of you. Now think of you as being the projector. What story, because we play movies and TV shows on these projectors, right? What movie or a TV show are you playing in that projection of the mind which shows up all of this stuff? Now, on the one notion, if we go into the weird and wonderfulness even, where we kind of go, yeah, you create your own reality. Well, I struggle with that, because does that mean I'm creating all the pain in the world because this is my projection? Does that come from a level of ego? So there are lots of questions we can ask ourselves about reality, and it is a deep dive and a philosophical or esoteric way of thinking, and there are values from thinking so. But for the importance of this episode, it's about becoming conscious of that projection you're putting out there. Whether it is the wonderful weirdness of the world, the synchronicities, the things which show up based on what we're thinking about, or whether it is just simply a computer brain, the biology firing off certain neural networks down a certain pathway that causes you to seek out what you think about most of the time. Because as I said, if you keep on selling yourself a story of not being enough, playing that movie, The Projector, well, of course, you're going to look for that projection on the outside world. You're going to look for those relationships which will prove to you why they're bad, because you are not enough for them. If you don't feel worthy, your unconscious mind will look for everything, every piece of evidence to confirm that. Almost like it's a confirmation bias. We're being biased in what we really see out there because we try to make it fit our narrative. And we can see that, especially now more than ever. There are so many agendas and narratives in social media or politics or fill in the blank. Like, I'm talking about just like on a global level. There are so many spun narratives with different agendas, and we can see how people fall into those ideologies or those things because it gives people meaning, or it confirms their own belief system. They feel like, yeah, that person says what I've been thinking this whole time. But in the exact same way, that's what the unconscious mind does. It will go, you've had all these experiences before. This is why we believe this. And I'm going to hold on to them. And I'm going to prove to you that this is true by looking for all the situations that will confirm that belief you have about yourself or about the world. So we can move into our own identity beliefs, as in like, I'm not fill in the blank or I am fill in the blank. But it can go beyond that. It can be our beliefs about certain things like relationships, like money is the root of all evil, or money's hard to come by. All of these things, it could be internal beliefs to external beliefs around ourself and the world that we live in. But now you know that. Ask yourself, what are you projecting? What are your, I'm trying to think of a good word for it, but what is your benchmark? What is your expectation for living life? What is your expectation when it comes to your health, your relationships, your career, for your own identity? Because whatever you expect, you tend to get. I don't know if it was on one of my live streams or if it was on one of my coaching calls or my trainings, but I was saying that when I was expecting at school, when it comes to my grades, I expected just to get a C. That is what I thought I was worth. That's what I thought I could always get, or only get. And then I only showed up to get a C or below. But then I began to change that in my life. I began to expect more about my own potentiality because I did the work. And therefore, I began to get so much more in my reality, because I could see the possibility, I could see the potential, because no longer am I like with the horses, and they have blinkers on. You take those off, and now you can suddenly see so much more of reality that you were deleting based on the story that we were playing in our mind, that reality filter. And that can go to show why we keep on attracting the same kind of person in our life, whether it be a narcissist or whether it be only good people. Hopefully it's the latter there. Because we're seeking it out. Whatever you want consciously, even if it's for I don't want this, your unconscious mind, if that's what you're focusing on, is going to look for more of the same because you have the most energy in it. And that is why those people who are anxious and worried tend to get more fearful and anxious and worried. That's why those who are very successful tend to get more successful, because they're putting their attention and intention onto those things. So like I said, whether we go down the route of the weird and wonderful woo-la-la stuff, which I personally love, or whether we go down just the biology of the brain, which I absolutely love too, in both models, I think they still both work. Based on the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your beliefs, it will set out that expectation to be able to look for more of the same. So as I ask that question, what is the story, narrative, expectation, belief you have in any or one particular area? Notice that is what we're creating. That is something that we are a co-creator of. I believe we are a co-creator of our reality. Yes, there's those external things happen to us, but it's not about what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. It's our reaction to it. It's how we rather be just a product of our life or our environment or our circumstance, and instead allow life, our environment, our circumstance to be a product of what we choose to create, even within the resistance of things happen in life. We still have choice. And if we recover choice, it gives us the ability to choose different things, different expectations, different feelings, different belief systems. Because when you think about beliefs, right, they are rooted to the core of the unconscious mind. But in the same notion, they're just in our mind. They were just built upon memories. And those memories, those foundations, were what we were told or what we came to the conclusion based on a certain event. So if we begin to decipher the difference between what is imagined and hallucinated or assumed to be true because of that past stuff happening, and kind of filter through that and come to the conscious awareness, actually that's not who I am. It happened to me. My teacher did say I was never going to get anywhere, but it doesn't have to be my reality. It happened to me, but it doesn't have to create who I am. You see, you are so much more than your belief systems, because before you had belief systems, you were still here. The substance, the essence, the key, wonderful energy of you was here. We just assumed certain beliefs, decisions, and projections along the way. And that's amazing news. You see, I used to think I was always going to be that way. I thought that was reality. I thought it was the objective viewpoint. But once I start to dismantle those belief systems, once I start to challenge them, challenging the very foundation of those, reframe it in a different way, I was then able to then consciously look for what I want out of my reality. And the interesting thing that happens is that then reality will show you something different too. Because wherever you're looking for it, it will seek it. When you go, I am enough, therefore those people and those narcissistic people, they're not going to be attracted to you because they know that you've got value. And if they do go in your vicinity, you're going to go, I'm more than that. So therefore you radiate them away, or they just don't show up because those energy vampires are going to just not see you as one of those victims because you're more than that. So the nature of shifting a belief system from I am not worthy, I'm not enough, to I am worthy and I am enough, by definition will have to change how people react to you, because you show up differently. About that belief around money. If you think money's too hard to come by and you got all those scarcity, well, if you change and shift that belief that money comes to you easily and effortlessly and abundantly in known and unknown ways, and that you're doing the work to make it happen, well, guess what? Your benchmark is that now. That is what you want, that's what you'll get. And therefore, you will be seeking out those opportunities, showing up differently, and therefore those opportunities are shown to you because you're no longer deleting them because of that old belief system. You're no longer distorting situations. You're starting to, we could say, manifest the reality that we want, because we're manifesting our own self-belief through the manifestation of new thoughts, new ideas, and not the old manifestation of those old ideas, those old thoughts of what if this happens, what if that happens. Have you ever known anyone, and I could be speaking directly to you here, where anything good happens, it's bound to fall apart? Like whenever I get some success, it's going to be taken away from me. It becomes, we've heard it before, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that expectation causes you to seek out the confirmation to fit your narrative, because there's nothing more satisfying, even within the pain, to go, I knew this would happen, even if it's painful. Because it gives you a level of knowingness. No one likes to feel unknown, in terms of like the unknown in the world of what could happen. So even if it's negative, your unconscious mind will go, least I can confirm my own belief systems to be true. Because within that gives you a level of negative consequence, but like a acceptance that, yep, that's all I'm worth. I proved it to you. It gives you that confirmation. So we do this on a global level. We do this on an individual level. And now you know the reality filter you're spinning in your mind or playing the movie in your mind can be changed. So with that, well, how do we do it? Well, I've kind of talked about it. The nature of knowing it can be a huge epiphany for people in itself, because you go, well, what do I want to create? Is this true? Is it mine or someone else's belief that I assume to be true? But of course, you can go deeper into it if that's not the shift that you absolutely wanted, because some people, you will change just like that by knowing it in itself. But the good news is, even if you didn't have that total epiphany, we have tools. We have things like hypnosis, which is designed to reprogram that, to create new realities within your mind so we can actually get them in reality. So many things. Hypnosis to work on those beliefs, hypnosis to work on those resources. And there are different levels of hypnosis, of course, from listening, for example. I mean, I love my hypnosis app, and I think it's something that I'm really, really happy about. And you can, if you haven't got it, get it at freehypnosis.app, because it's a game changer. You can listen to it as you go to sleep to save you time. You can listen to it in the day if you wanted to. There's all the free stuff on there. There's all the morning meditation. There's audio programs to retrain the brain. So that's one level, right? Like you can do this work in your own time, even while you're sleeping. And of course, the higher levels you get up will be working with a competent practitioner or someone who's a specialist. Like my speciality is letting go of things like I'm not good enough and worthy, hence why I talk about it a lot, because I've been there. And sometimes you've got to pay a premium price to work with someone, or getting custom hypnosis sessions like I've been presently doing. Not for much longer, I assume, because of the, time and things. But ultimately, you have now the tools to do so. Whether you just work and become consciously aware, and when it pops up, go, is this real? Is this really real? Or is it just something mirroring back to me the belief that I have about myself. Is mirroring back to me just simply the identity of myself, where I'm seeking out everything which is similar and familiar to the belief I hold about myself. And the problem with that, and we've said this funny one before, it's almost like most people try to comb their hair, bear with me, comb their hair by combing the mirror. Sounds really weird because you wouldn't do that, right? Well, let's put it into a more interesting reality of it. It's almost as if people try to change their environment, try to comb their environment, change it over here, where really the environment's just been showing up because you got to really work on the inner world of you. When you work on the inner world, you will change on the outer. Like I said, people will show up differently. They won't show up at all if they're the negative ones, or they'll quickly dissipate from your reality. Or you might have higher standards for yourself, and therefore you cut some people out because you make good decisions for your health. It could be that you see these new opportunities of abundance around you. Like, oh my goodness, I can charge this amount. I can have a business like this. Oh, there's someone who can help me over here have that business. So it happens in all areas. It's just our perception. Whatever you perceive to be true mirrors back to you. But once you change your perception of self and the world, that too will be mirrored back to you. So have a little thought of that. Have a little meditation on it. Just notice what you notice. What stories have you been playing in that projector that is showing up on your wall in front of you, which is the reality around you. And of course, look, if you want to go to that higher level and actually personally choose to want to work with me, you can go to josephclough.info/talk. And when you go there, it's an application to my 8-week program. Ultimately, it is customized to your needs. We plug you into an amazing group of people just like you wanting to let it go, and the most loving, supportive group in the whole world to me. But ultimately, you fill out an application, and then when you show up to the call, it's a one-to-one call with us. We're clear on what you want to let go of, exactly what you want to achieve, what's getting in the way, and come up with a plan to assist you. We want to be there with you. You got to step up into the program, of course. You got to go, yep, I'm ready to do this. And yes, there is an investment due to the customization. But if not, if you're not ready for that, and also we tend to work with, the big beliefs about identity, which is stopping us. But either way, you've got the app. You've got the app to be able to support you. And if the app is supporting you, please go ahead and leave a review as well. You can do it within the app. Just scroll down right to the bottom on the main page. It's got a little review section right there, and it'll take you to the app store that you're on. But have a little thought. It's interesting to wonder sometimes, because it means you're gaining new insights about who you are, where you're heading, and how you can be different today. So with that, I will quickly say as well that from now on, those who are part of the app, I'm doing, depending on how it all goes, because it takes a lot of editing. So I'm sure it will always happen because I'm pretty good with the recording side of things. But I'm giving out bonus episodes of sleep sessions. So for the free section, or the podcast, it's numbered. Like there's episode 839. Well, if you're a part of the app, you're going to get a bonus episode of the sleep version, which was just after that day hypnosis session, which I give for free. So I want to try and keep on supplying, give more information, give more free or not free necessarily because it's part of the app, but like bonuses to those who want to transform as they sleep as well. And also, if you remember, you get these episodes far sooner, by a couple of weeks, I believe. So you not only get bonus ones, you get ad-free experience, you get all these functionalities within the app, and therefore you can transform. I mean, for what you pay per, like if you got the yearly subscription is like $27. Think what you spend $27 on, by the way. That could be like, I don't drink tea or coffee, but I'm sure if you go to like a Starbucks or the equivalent, probably like 3 or 4 drinks will cost that, right? I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't know what the prices are. But ultimately, you are able to maybe spend one coffee of like $2, I'm sure they're way more than that, $2 per month on average to be able to get access to the fuel of the mind, the real caffeine that we need to be able to transform our life. And therefore, life will never be the same again. So thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you in a future episode. Many thanks and goodbye.